Welcome into the Birds of the Roundtable. We are here on another Tuesday night, celebrating another victory. The Eagles are 4-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. And we're here to talk about it. We're going to break it all down for you. I'm joined tonight, as always, by Dibes. Follow him on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Quick shout out to Edge of Philly Sports for hosting an epic day at South House in Philly for the game last weekend. It was a lot of fun. It was my second ever live show, like at a bar. The one we did before was a long time ago at Victory at Kennett Square, which was an awesome place too. But it was a lot of fun. I almost lost my voice from screaming. When it comes to watching Eagles games, I'm never in public ever. I like that goes against everything I believe. Like I'm like I need quiet. And but anyway, it was a lot of fun. Shout out to Big Al for hosting that thing. It was a blast.
All right, awesome. Wish I could have been there. I was watching the same place I always do on my computer in my office all alone. But we won't get into that. Ryan Reese. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. I am just over the moon. The fact that we are the last undefeated team in the NFL, 4-0. And honestly, I think heading into this upcoming week, preseason-wise, I thought this was, most likely a loss. I'm feeling a lot better about it now, though, let me tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cardinals are kind of a brewing dumpster fire, and we'll get into that as well. But before we do that, let's throw it over to Ryan Finneran. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing very well. Glad to be on with you guys. It's always fun to be on this show. I was watching the game at the stadium, which was miserable, but also incredible at the same time. So it's a lot of fun to cheer for Dougie P at the beginning of the game and then boo the Jaguars for the rest. So it was great. And quick notice for everybody watching, Aaron Judge just hit his 60-second home run. So congrats.
Oh, nice.
All right. Is that a basketball player? Or what?
Yeah, you guys, he dunks those baseballs for touchdowns real well.
Yeah, you guys are all cheating on the Eagles with other sports teams, and I will not have it on Birds of the Roundtable. So we're going to get live here. I'm going to start the Madden game rolling. We've got a Madden watch party for Eagles Cardinals preview. While this plays, we're going to talk about the Eagles Jags. We'll look forward to next week. So if you're watching live here, drop us a comment. So the Eagles get off to the worst start they've had this season. They get punched in the mouth by the Jaguars, down 14-0 after Jalen Hurts throws a pick six. They rip off 29 unanswered points in a torrential downpour, and they emerge with the win, 29-21. Let's start with the offense first. Dibes, talk to me about the offense. What did you see in this game? What kind of stuck out to you?
Well, it starts with the running game. It starts with how pretty much that second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, the Eagles' offensive line really cemented themselves. Whether it was Jack Driscoll coming in for Jordan Mailata or Suapeta later in the second half, it was next man up mentality, man. And they really just were pushing the Jaguars' defensive line around there. Miles Sanders, for a guy that I have dogged week in, week out, all offseason long. And shout out to my man, Ryan Finneran, who he loves him some Miles Sanders. He deserves it. 4 weeks in. He's played great football. He had a career game, 152 total yards, I believe. Best game I've ever seen Miles Sanders in an Eagles uniform by far. He was decisive. He occasionally will give you like too much dancing around and try and get that home run play. It is what it is. That's Miles Sanders. But overall, it was a terrific game. I liked seeing him in the passing game as well a little bit. Offensively, it starts with the Eagles running attack, pounding it down the throats of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's my take.
All right, there we go. Marcus Epps, as you're talking there, getting an interception on the Cardinals' first drive, so I'm all about that. Ryan Finneran, you're the big Miles Sanders guy. Talk to me about your guy.
I was just impressed on how he could find those holes. I mean, credit to the offensive line where credit is due. But his vision, finding the holes, breaking through, making the cuts that he needed to make to get into that open field, and just constantly moving his legs. Every time he got touched, he was still moving his legs, getting some help from the offensive line, getting pushed ahead. It was just great to see. Holding on to the football, being secure with that football was excellent to see as well, especially in that weather when there was a lot of turnovers. So just seeing him looking good, looking healthy, and getting that lower body, that locomotion type movement going forward, I was really great, very happy to see that. One of the things that really stood out was the defense. I mean, they're just proving week in and week out that they can, really get after the quarterback, and that's been extremely impressive in my mind. Regardless of the weather and how Trevor Lawrence just couldn't hold on to the ball, just the pressure getting back there and having us in his face almost the entire game, it was fantastic. So that was what really stood out to me.
Real quick fun fact about the Eagles rushing offense. 7 of the last 14 games, they've hit over at least 200 yards on the ground. That's insane. That's dominance right there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Top 5 in the league in rushing yards.
Well, and they did it, I mean, in a game where everyone knew you were going to run with the downpour, with the wind. The Jaguars went a lot of single high. They were playing +1 in the box nearly the entire game, and it just didn't matter because the way the Eagles use, and I'm going to put an all 22 out on this tomorrow. I just haven't got to record it yet. But the way they used the RPOs and the read option, they used Hurts, even though he didn't have a big rushing day, like 40 yards. They used the threat of him running to neutralize those heavy boxes, and it's just so impressive the rushing attack that they were able to put together with 2 backup offensive linemen. I mean, your third string left tackle and your backup right guard on the field. And they were able to do that. It was just it was a gutsy performance. It's like, the Eagles can flip a switch and they can become this elite running team if they need to. They just haven't needed to yet this year. And I think that's what sets them apart from a team like the Bills. And don't hear me say their offense is better than the Bills' offense, but the Bills would struggle a lot more in a game like that because they just have no rushing attack. If Josh Allen doesn't run, nobody can. And other teams, the Rams can't run the ball. What is this tackling?
You just broke 5 tackles.
Absolute beast mode right there.
But the Chiefs are struggling to run the ball. A lot of these teams with top offenses are really struggling to run the ball, and the Eagles just aren't. And so that's a big positive sign. We'll go to a couple comments here, and then I'll throw it to Ryan. I just want to cover up his face one more time. Anthony on YouTube says, watched all 22, and Landon Dickerson had the most dominant game I've ever seen from an offensive guard not named Quentin Nelson. Absolute domination. Dickerson was on point all game. Sean on Facebook says, what's up, guys? The Eagles are signing Cameron Dicker to the practice squad per source. Jake Elliott was banged up in Sunday's game. If he can't go this week, it'll be Dicker the kicker. We were just talking about that off air. Anyways, Ryan, let me throw it to you. What stuck out to you from this offensive performance?
The fact of the matter is, after this game, I don't think there's any doubt from not only Eagles fans, but analysts or experts throughout the NFL that the Eagles don't have the best offensive line. The fact that Malata went out, Sayamala went out, they were still able to plug guys in because of their depth, because they run this system that is just unbelievable. And they were able to run the ball down the throats of what was supposedly the best run defense so far, or at least one of, in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were giving up somewhere around like 55 yards per game. And we ran the ball over 200 yards with 2 starters
Oh, Ryan's cutting out.
This dominant offensive line. Oh, sorry. Am I cut?
Yep.
You
You
good?
seem to be good now.
Okay. It's probably because you put too many comments up. It messed with my flow.
Might have been. You guys keep those comments rolling so we can cover Ryan up as much as possible.
Yeah, so you can hide me.
Oh, what a catch.
I'm gonna request next week I move up a square. This offensive line. This offensive line, and Anthony had mentioned about Dickerson. He played amazing. I thought he had a little bit of a shaky first game, but he has been lights out ever since. And I just love this offensive line, and I love the fact that they were able to adjust to the weather, to being down 14 points. They stuck with the run, and they ran the ball down their throats. And it didn't matter who was in that game. They were running the ball down their throats regardless.
Yeah, and it would have been easy for them to panic down 14 early. It would have been easy to change a game script. You're in the rain, and they didn't let the elements obviously affected their offense, but you didn't let it affect your productivity. They go for 401 yards on the day. They extend their streak of 400 plus yard offensive performances. They've had 400 plus yards every game this season, which is just unbelievable.
Barely the last 2 weeks, but
barely 400 and 401 the last 2 weeks. So we're right there. It wasn't the best Jalen Hurts game. It was far from the best Trevor Lawrence game. Elements play a role in that. Hurts had a little bit of shoddy decision making at times, but he played good enough. He didn't compound mistakes. He had the big interception early, whereas Trevor Lawrence fumbled the ball 4 times. Hurts never the ball got on the ground one more time. I don't know what happened with that Jason Kelce snap. I don't know what happened there, but his hands were still in the warmers, so he obviously wasn't expecting it, as Jake Elliott hits a field goal here in our simulation. So he took care of the football. The offense rallied around him. He was a huge part of the running game, even if he didn't put up stats. So all in all, just a really encouraging performance from an offense that's showing that it can win in multiple ways.
I thought, Jalen Hurts didn't put up a lot of stats, but I thought his leadership, his poise was very strong. I mean, just like we've kind of echoed the first few weeks prior, I thought Jalen Hurts was in command. If you watched Party on Broad or Birds of the Roundtable, we talked about this. Like, it was they went up against a team that led the NFL in turnover margin. And kudos to Jalen Hurts in those elements, limiting the turnovers. And that was definitely the difference in this game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we weren't just shorthanded on offense, also shorthanded on defense. Avonte Maddox is not in the game. Darius Slay goes out on the third play of the game. And so you end up with Josiah Scott and Zach McPherson out there. And in the past, that would have been really problematic. But James Bradbury, he's a CB1. He made the huge interception on just a great play where, let's be honest, I don't know if you guys have watched the replays and stuff on that, but there were 3 receivers on that side of the field, and Bradbury was the only guy there. I don't know what happened, but it's just an incredible play. But we got another comment coming in here from Anthony. Says, how do you feel about Josiah Scott and Zach McPherson? They look fine to me in man coverage, but in zone, there were too many miscommunications from what I saw. Oh, there's another interception in our sim here. Who was that? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Nice.
So what did you guys think? I guess we can transition over a little bit to the defense here. What did you guys think about the defense playing shorthanded, Scott and McPherson? Dibes, what did you see?
Well, it starts with the Eagles pass rush. These last 2 weeks have been absolutely outstanding. You go to the Commanders game, a lot of those kind of pressures were justified. A lot of those were also justified by Carson Wentz playing too much hero ball and holding on to the ball way too long. So I was really curious how the Eagles pass rush would go up against the Jaguars, because coming into this game, they only gave up 2 sacks. They were among the league best when it comes to allowing pressures, quarterback hits. They were extremely good at getting the ball out fast and quick. The Avonte Maddox injury We talked about that a lot and how much that would hurt, especially with Christian Kirk in the slot and so forth. But I thought the pass rush was terrific, especially Jonathan Gannon dialing up timely blitzes on third down. And I thought he did a great job, especially in the second half on early downs, as we talked about earlier on previous shows. Like Trevor Lawrence was like 3 of 9 or something on early downs passing the football. 2 of those were sacks. One of those was a strip sack by Hassan Reddick, and all those were pressures. So you go back to Trevor Lawrence and those 4 forced fumbles. A lot of those were because of the pressures. If you go and watch my video on all the pressures of the Eagles versus the Jaguars, you'll see a big chunk of those was because Hassan Reddick was up in his face and he had to get out of the pocket. So I thought it was on the Eagles' end for making and forcing a lot of those turnovers. We're sitting here, reveling in Eagles 4-0 start. A huge part of that has to start with defensive takeaways, because we all know they were among the league worst for years when it comes to takeaways. And I think turnover margin, they're like top 3 right now. Yeah. And then you get to sacks. I think they had 4 against the Jaguars. I thought Jordan Davis was sensational. If you go watch my video again on the channel, Jordan Davis was blowing people up again and again, even providing a pass rush as well, not just being a run stopper, but I thought he was getting up, moving his man into the backfield again and again. For me, it's the pass rush. It was all.
Yeah, the pass rush and coverage have to work together. And on a day where you were expecting the coverage to take a hit, and then it really took a hit when Darius Slay went out, Scott and McPherson, they were okay. I mean, that's, if you're looking to pinpoint a weakness in this team, it's their secondary depth. Like, I feel good in their starting 5, 3 corners and 2 safeties. If one of those guys goes down, I don't feel comfortable at anybody behind them. And I think you saw why. Like, I thought, Scott and McPherson, they were fine in man coverage. It was atrocious in zone coverage. They really struggled to pass off routes, and I thought as the game went on, you saw the Eagles just stop going to that. But there was some busted coverages. There were some busted coverages where the weather bailed them out. There was some where the pass rush bailed them out. Like Dibes talked about, I mean, the Eagles pressured Trevor Lawrence on 33% of his dropbacks. And on those dropbacks, he was 1 of 5 passing with an interception, 4 turnover-worthy plays, and 4 sacks. So the pass rush was for real, and it all started – Hassan Reddick, he's got to be player of the game, right? He had 3 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He recovered 2 fumbles, and he did all that on just 22 pass rushing snaps. So PFF gave him a pass rush grade of 95.9. So we complained about Reddick in week 1. Nobody's complaining now. Great game from Reddick. Yep. Ryan Finneran, what did you see from the defense?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to echo what Dobbs was saying about Jordan Davis. I mean, he looked fantastic. There was a couple opportunities when, Jacksonville was possibly getting something going on their offense, kind of getting some flow, and he just kind of was there to interrupt all of that progress that they were trying to make, and it was just awesome to watch. One of the best things, and I might be stealing Ryan Reese's thunder here, but I love the play of the linebackers right now. I mean, TJ Edwards is a monster. He is leading our team with 33 tackles right now, and it just feels like he's all over the field. Kaiser White has been playing pretty well, I would say. And then again, like you were saying, Shane, that Hassan Reddick just had an outstanding game. It's been one of those points of focus for us as fans to be like, another season where our linebackers are just trash or, barely mediocre. I think right now we can feel pretty comfortable with the linebacker position and how they're playing. So that, as an Eagles fan and as a fan of just great defense, you'd love to see the linebackers play at that elite. I won't go elite, but a very high level. And it's comfortable. It's comforting to see, especially when you're going up against next week a guy like Kyler Murray, who has a lot of athletic ability. So
love it.
I'm happy to see the linebackers playing that way.
Mike on YouTube agrees with you. Says TJ Edwards has been insanely good, and he has. I didn't see that coming. Let's go to a couple comments here.
We can all agree. We can all agree that TJ Edwards is playing like an all-pro linebacker at this rate. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that's how elite he's been. I fully agree with Ryan Finner.
All right. Birdman asks, is there any update on Elliott? We don't know anything other than they signed a guy to the practice squad. I would assume that's precautionary because Elliott did make a kick after he got hit. So, I would assume he's going to be fine, but we'll see. Mike said we got to consider putting Gardner Johnson in the nickel until Maddox gets back. What do you guys think about that? I mean, that puts you moving at probably Kavon Wallace, or I guess you could put Reed Blankenship back at safety.
What were the snap counts like this week? I haven't even looked at it. Hold on. I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
I mean, with what we saw from, the little bits of Reed Blankenship, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him get a chance to play a little bit more. Again, it's kind of a small sample size, but from what I remember seeing, and he looked really good, and seems like he could get the job done. So if that were the case and you would see more Blankenship, I honestly wouldn't be, opposed to it. It wouldn't make me happy, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
So apparently, I'm just seeing this now for the first time. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson played mostly safety. Kavon Wallace only played 2 snaps there, which I'm a little shocked at because I thought we'd see Chauncey Gardner-Johnson more in the slot. And it didn't happen. That was a perfect opportunity to do so with Christian Kirk and such. So that's a little surprising.
I'm not expecting for Maddox to be out. It seemed like it was like an ankle sprain in practice. I didn't ever get any sort of indication it was going to be a long-term thing. I guess we'll see when the injury report hits tomorrow, but my understanding was not that he was going to miss extended time. But if he were, I would absolutely put Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the slot because, to be honest, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's been atrocious at safety this year. Like, he's been the worst player on the defense, and he's learning a new position. That's fine, but he's been bad at safety, and I know he's good at slot, and so I would rather have him play where he's good if Maddox is going to be out. So that's just me. I would make that switch if Maddox is going to be out. I don't think he's going to be, though.
Here's my drunk story of the the podcast. We were at the bar. I've already had probably about 5 or 6 ciders. I'm a lightweight. And pregame, I predicted Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was going to be my player of the game. And when James Bradbury picked that one off, I thought that was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And I was so screaming at the TV. When you're at the bar, it happened so fast. And in my head, I never even thought twice about it. For me, I thought it was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So if you go to the post-game show, in my head, I'm propping Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for the interception like a complete idiot. Go check it out. That was one of the dumbest moments.
That's funny.
All right, Ryan. I don't have any comments to cover you up with, so play some wisdom on us here. Well, what stuck out to you on the defense from this game?
Just, again, their ability to put pressure. And, we've said it so many times of how, well, they can put a little pressure, but they don't get, the sack, or they don't get the turnover. They're getting turnovers. They're getting sacks. They're still getting that pressure. And they absolutely made Trevor Lawrence's day even worse in that rain. It was already a god-awful day having to play football in that, and they made it so much worse for them. Bradbury has been amazing. The linebackers, I could probably start talking about them for about an hour. The fact of the matter is we still are not seeing Nakobe Dean. And I don't think that has really any indication on his ability to get up to speed and to get out there. There's no room for him out there right now. And listen, that is an amazing problem to have at linebacker, which we've never had that problem, where we have this, highly, touted rookie coming in and can't get on the field to even prove himself and to get some experience. TJ Edwards has been absolutely amazing. He is playing out of his mind, and I'm all here for it. Kaiser White, Hassan Reddick putting pressure on. I mean, we are getting so much value and production out of our linebackers. I literally, it doesn't even seem like it's real. It's like, this can't be the Eagles, because we know that that's not how we operate. But we are. And the front four is getting home. Fletcher Cox looks 10 years younger. He's been playing so much better than I expected him. He's still getting overpaid, but that doesn't matter at this point. It feels a lot better now that he's actually doing something. And same with Brandon Graham. Again, fountain of youth. I would never have expected this defense to play this well, this early. I'm so excited about it. I thought they played amazing.
I'm really happy you brought up the front four too, because it's not just Gannon dialing up the blitzes, which has been extremely effective, but the front four is getting home. The Eagles actually blitz only 22% of the time, which is like middle of the pack when it comes to the NFL. They're number one in the NFL when it comes to pressures and pressure percentage. So they're getting there, just like they did last year. But whether that's like my man Mike J, the coverage has been so much better across the board. And just a quick note on Josiah Scott. I don't know about you guys, but that guy was picked on again and again on Sunday. Hopefully Avante will be back, because his loss was for sure.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the fountain of youth for Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, and a lot of that too, I think, goes to their usage, the rotation that they're in now. It's so deep. It was 47? I think it was 47 defensive snaps. Fletcher Cox played 35, Josh Sweat 31, Brandon Graham 20. Like, even guys we're not talking about, Milton Williams, Marlon Tuipulotu, they got 13 and 12 snaps. Hassan Reddick is taking snaps at edge. He took, it adds up. Reddick took 39 snaps. That's going to pay dividends later in the year too, because these guys aren't wearing down, and hopefully they stay healthy. We don't get into injury stuff, but the Eagles have not just a good pass rush, they have a deep pass rush, and that's going to make a big difference down the stretch.
Yeah. I would just like to add real quick, did anybody just catch that 85-yard punt by the Cardinals?
I
missed that.
I don't know what is going on with the punting in this game.
EA is going to boot you from the stream again.
I know.
Let's cover him up with a comment. Mike said Slay and Bradbury are the best corners we've seen in years. That is hands down the best part of the season for me. We have a dominant secondary.
I agree.
We've got a dominant secondary. It's thin, though. It is paper thin, and that does concern me. Like, I don't think you can sustain an injury to any of those 5 starters without it being a huge deal if it's a long-term thing. I mean, you even just think about this game. How many of those deep balls against busted coverage is Trevor Lawrence missing if the pass rush doesn't get there, if it's not raining? You can't count on that pass rush bailing you out, and you can't count on rain bailing you out. So, we talk about trade deadline moves and how he likes to make moves. I think you could see some sort of move for like an experienced, a veteran defensive back. They got a lot of young guys with no experience. I would feel better if there was a veteran kind of waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I think a vet safety would make me feel much better. Epps is doing fine. I agree with you that Gardner Johnson would be better in the slot. But yeah, I think if you bring in a safety, I would feel much better about things. And it's funny that we're talking about this when, preseason we didn't have Bradbury, we didn't have Gardner Johnson. Like, we added these two and we're already still talking about it. That's how thin the secondary was outside of Slay. And we were very unsure about Epps. And now this team looks completely different in the defensive backfield. It's just really funny to think back when we were all just so worried about it. And we feel better about it, sure, but we need more depth.
Absolutely. All right. Trying to think, is there anything else that we need to hit on this game? Oh, actually, I got one. I've got one thing I want to nitpick on. Can we stop with Kenny Gainwell? Just stop. Just get him off the field. He adds nothing. Trey Sermon should be running back 2 on this team. Like, Kenny Gainwell adds nothing. We try to force
the Trey Sermon sighting.
Yeah, try to force the ball to Kenny Gainwell too much with the little screens. They get cute down in the red zone, bringing him in to throw to him out of the backfield. Just it doesn't work. It hasn't worked. Give the ball to Miles Sanders or put Trey Sermon out there.
He is a big dude too.
Yeah,
he is.
So I agree, Shane. I think that you give him the ball a little bit more, kind of mixing it up, and just I think he ran it twice on Sunday, or got the opportunity to run twice, and looked pretty good just from, again, the small sample size. But still, I agree. I think you kind of tone it back on Gainwell and give Sermon some more carries, and I think it'll work out well for him.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to throw out on this game before we go to player of the game?
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed with the, towards the end of the game, Sirianni, instead of kicking the field goal, going for it. I just thought that was just dumb, in my opinion. I was around a ton of Eagles fans who were like, wait, why did he just do that? Instead of getting the points, make it a 2-score game. But if that's the only thing I can nitpick on, I think that's about it.
I actually liked that. Or I didn't mind it, I guess, to be honest. I mean, so it was the 21-yard line. It's a 4th and 3. I guess it ultimately comes down to Elliott, where Jake Elliott was at. If he's fine, maybe you should just kick that. But I didn't mind him going for it because then you can just ice the game. Versus you attempt the field goal. Oh. There's Hassan Reddick with a big sack at Kyler Murray. You attempt the field goal, even if you make it, it's kind of the same scenario where like you break a run there and you go down because you don't want to have to kick the ball back to the other team, give them the chance to score, onside kick thing. I guess I didn't mind it. I could see where people didn't like it though, especially, since it doesn't work out and Hassan Reddick has to bail him out on the other end. But I didn't mind it. I saw the idea, especially if Elliott wasn't at 100%, but I could see where people would not like that call.
Yeah, I was one of them that didn't like it, but again, I agree that if he's not healthy, going for it, it can work out in your favor and then ice the game. But just consider it didn't work out. Everybody's hindsight 2020.
Yeah.
My final comment is just the overall coaching and leadership that we've seen on this Eagles roster. It's been just outstanding. What was like the biggest thing that haters were calling out about this Eagles team was fighting adversity. They haven't had to really battle against any kind of adversity through 3 weeks. They had it in week 4, and they just completely annihilated the Jaguars after the first quarter. I was like, I don't know what, the 21 unanswered points, or I don't know, something like that.
20.
20. That's really my take. Jeff Stoutland, next man up. Guys playing under Nick Sirianni. Gannon adjusting, Sirianni adjusting. I just can't comment enough how much of a joy it's been to watch the Eagles through 4 weeks. The first week was a little iffy, especially defensively, but the Eagles are for real. The Eagles are for real pretty much by every measure, and people need to start taking them seriously. I've been kind of like week to week status. Let's see how they go, especially like up until week 10. But every single week, man, it's just getting better and better. I don't know how you're not flying high right now. If you're not, or if you're an Eagles fan, it's been truly impressive to watch.
Ryan's freaking out about another 80-yard punt here. I need to go do some scouting on the Cardinals punter. I've got a fun one here for you. So I was going to say the Eagles played a complete game finally. You know, they scored in the second half, but they really didn't play a first quarter. So I guess we got 3 quarters. But I went to go look this up. So the Eagles lead the NFL in second quarter points at 21.3 points. Second place is the Chargers with 12. Like the Eagles have almost scored twice as many second quarter points as the number 2 team. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the yards in the second quarter, they're almost double the second place team just on yards alone. And that for whatever reasons, second quarter it seems to be their jam, and they are just doing whatever they want in the second quarter. And it's funny because the previous 2 games we didn't do anything in the second half. This last game we didn't do anything in the first quarter, and you're right. It's like they got to put it all together, but that second quarter they certainly make up for everything of not doing things in the first or the second half or whatever. They just turn it on. It's weird, but I love it.
Hey, look, Isaac Seumalo getting hurt in our simulation too. Look at that. Hashtag realism. So, all right, well, let's pivot our attention now then to the game that's coming up this Sunday. The Eagles travel out to Arizona. This is an afternoon game, which is really nice because I always miss like opening kickoff at the 1 o'clock game. So I'm glad it's one of the afternoon games. They travel out to Arizona. It's a place they haven't won, I think I saw since 2001, to take on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are kind of the inverse of the Eagles. We talked about how the Eagles have not scored much in the second half. Well, the Cardinals don't score in the first half at all. They average 4 points per game in the first half, which is dead last in the NFL. Then they average 16.5 points in the second half, which is second best in the NFL. So this is a team that gets off to slow starts. The Eagles get off to fast starts. Hopefully we see that continue on Sunday. Ryan Finneran, I'll start with you. What's something you're looking for in this game coming up Sunday?
Well, considering that Reese and I will be there in Arizona, I'm looking forward to nice weather. Going to a great away game. Mainly, one of the things that I'm looking for, and this is one of the guys that I think during our preseason roundtables, we kind of were hoping to see a lot of production. I mean, I know we're only 4 games in, but I'm looking for a big game from Dallas Goedert. I think that just any opportunity that he's gotten so far, except for the drop, I think, on Sunday he had a pretty big drop. But any other opportunity he's gotten, he's just shown his big body and that athleticism, and just that even with people in his way, you should move, because the guy is a monster. And once he's got a head of steam, there's not many people in this league that are going to stop him. And just the way he can dance around defenders, and it's incredible. So I'm really rooting for and hoping for Dallas Goedert to have his best game so far of this year. And I know this is, I don't want to jinx anything, but I just want to say that I hope that the Eagles can have another clean, healthy game. Just everybody kind of remaining healthy going into the Dallas and then going into the bye so they can get some rest. So Dallas Goedert, healthy team by the end of the day.
Yeah, I put out a video today talking about Dallas Goedert and how the Eagles love to manufacture touches for him. I mean, they dialed up 3 screens, Dallas Goedert, against the Jags. You can go check that out if you want to, but they love to put the ball in his hands. He's so good with the ball in his hands. Yeah, I would love to see him. Like you said, we've had the A.J. Brown game. We've had the Devonta Smith game. I'm all aboard the Dallas Goedert game train.
Let's go.
Woo-woo. All right, Ryan Reese, you're going to be at the game too. Tell us what we should be looking for.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback off of what Finn just said. I'm thinking, I'm really hoping this is the Dallas Goddard game. I mean, again, you're going out there, you're playing against, his, former teammate in Zach Ertz, former Eagle great. And yeah, I just think this is, given their defense as well, I think this could bode well for him to play around in the middle or to kind of do the screen game thing. As as you said, they did that a few times the other day, and it seems to be working pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, considering I have like PTSD of like all of our old screen games. When we would throw the ball down the line to Todd Pinkston, and he would get like -4 yards, and I never wanted to see a screen again. So I'm glad that it's actually working, and it's great that it's with the tight end. But I think honestly, what I also really want to see is I want to see Kyler Murray just look like crap. I think he has the ability to be a very good quarterback, but he's not very consistent. And I think given how our linebackers have been playing, given how much pressure we've been giving from the front four, I think we're going to make his day absolutely miserable. And he's not going to be able to run out. We have speedy, quick linebackers that'll be able to chase him down. And I think we're going to be in his face all day long. And I really have come around from preseason to now. I think this could be a huge statement game for this team. That, you know what, like every time we play somebody, it's it was just the Lions, or the Vikings, it was prime time, or the Jaguars, they're still the Jaguars. Listen, everybody going into the season thought the Cardinals were going to be in the hunt for a playoff team, and they haven't looked up to par yet. And I'm sure they'll probably say something if we beat them. But honestly, I think we're going to smack the crap out of them. And I think this is going to be a statement win as we go to 5-0.
All right, Reddick with another strip sack.
How many sacks has Son Reddick had in this game? Like 12? This is ridiculous.
He's on.
He must be the one punting the ball.
You mentioned beating the Cardinals. I think the Lions are a better team than the Cardinals are. I think the Cardinals and Commanders are probably about on the same level. I'm not sold on the Cardinals. I think they've got a garbage head coach. Their defense is awful. Yeah. And honestly, their offense is awful too. The reason they start slow is because Kyler tries to run Cliff Kingsbury's offense and it doesn't work. And at halftime, the adjustment is, hey, Kyler, just bail us out. And he does. And so the Cardinals will go as far as Kyler Murray puts them on his back and carries them. And I just don't think the Eagles are going to let that beat them. I could be wrong. I just don't expect that. I think the Eagles are going to roll through the Cardinals. I'm not expecting this. Can we eliminate trap game from our vocabulary? I'm so tired of it. Oh, this could be a trap game. Every game could be a trap game. Let's quit talking about it. The Eagles should roll through the Cardinals. They're just not a good football team.
Wasn't the Lions a trap game?
Every game's a trap game.
Yeah, I've heard that so much this year, and I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of hearing that. And it's like, I'm hoping, I agree with you, Shane and Reese, that they just roll over them. And it's like, no more of this trap game talk. Eagles heavy favorites when they go into a game. Especially a game like this.
The Cardinals are 22nd in offensive DVOA, and they're 29th in defensive DVOA. Like, it's just not a good football team. It's just not. Dives, you're shaking your head. Did I steal one of your stats?
Pretty much.
I'll stop talking and let you talk.
He just steals everything of mine and just claims it for himself. I'm used to it. No,
I planted spyware on your computer so I can get your notes.
It's the question I have first and foremost is, will the real Arizona Cardinals offense stand up? Just like you guys cover the NFL way more closer than I do when it comes to like other teams. And like, I remember when this schedule was released, circling this game big time. And the question was, can Jalen Hurts keep up with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense? And just like echoing what everybody has said here, like they barely just beat the Panthers. They have a 29% first down rate. That's among the worst in the NFL. You gave the DVOA stats. This is a team that struggles coming out the gate. If they do that against the Eagles, this game could be ugly very, very fast. Kyler Murray is playing way too much hero ball. He's on pace at a record when it comes to passing attempts. And they're they're throwing the ball so much, yet they're so bad when it comes to first downs. So that's something I'm really interested in how Kyler Murray looks against Jonathan Gannon's defense. Truthfully, like Gannon has made Carson Wentz and Trevor Lawrence look silly under pressure. I'm really excited to see how that continues here against Kyler Murray. The other kind of matchup I'm really interested in is A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith versus this Cardinals secondary. Is Devontae healthy? Has anyone heard where Devontae's at with his injury status?
All I heard is that I saw a tweet earlier today that they think that everyone that got injured in the game has a chance to go this week.
Okay.
That's all I've heard. So nobody's been ruled out.
Right.
And I mean, obviously, we'll get more detailed stuff tomorrow from the injury report. But hopefully the offensive linemen will be back. Hopefully, more than anything, hopefully the corners will be back, and Jake Elliott, of course. But and that's something to keep an eye on. There were coverage busts against the Jags. If you're rolling out there without those guys again, Marquise Brown can get behind a defense. Yeah. He struggles to catch the ball once he's behind the defense, but he can get behind a defense, and Kyler loves to throw the ball his way. So that's probably the biggest thing to watch. But like you said, if the Cardinals start slow and the Eagles start fast like they have, when the Cardinals are trying to rally is at the same time the Eagles will be trying to park the bus and run out the clock. Yeah. And that's something that they've shown they're so good at doing. So it really comes down to how this game starts for me. You hope, Arizona stays the way they've been in the first half, not clicking on all cylinders, and the Eagles can jump out to a quick lead and then salt this one away and not make it stressful for us.
And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have a huge mismatch against this Cardinals secondary, which is not good. You look at them right now, they've given up the second most first downs and the third most passing touchdowns against the pass. They're bottom 10 when it comes to opponent completion percentage, and they have an average opponent quarterback rating of 103.9, which is seventh worst in the NFL. So Jalen Hurts could be feasting him and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in this one. I expect the Eagles to be, pounding the rock. But this is the Cardinals. They should be able to put up a lot of points in this one.
Yeah, Mr. Wing chimes in on YouTube, says Jalen's last game at Arizona, he had 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. I do remember that. They lost that game because the defense didn't show up. But the last time they played, he went off. And if the weather dictated a run-heavy approach against Jacksonville, like you said, the advantageous matchup is in the passing game here. The Cardinals, I wouldn't say they have a good run defense, but they're closer to average as a run defense, whereas they are a bottom passing defense. So air it out and go jump on these guys early.
Yeah. Ryan Reese, when I say name me an old Arizona Cardinal, who's the first name that comes to your mind?
Aeneas Williams.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Wow, okay, I'm going way older than you guys. Maybe
that's not too old. Larry Foote.
No, I'm thinking where my head is at is this is just random. Jake the Snake. Anybody remember?
Yeah, for sure.
Just completely carving up the Eagles. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah, of course.
There it is, Quinn. We did it.
Wait, never mind. I thought he played for the Broncos. Am I remembering that wrong?
He did for a little bit.
Okay, that's what I remember him as a Bronco.
Yeah.
I hated that. I hated Jake the Snake so much.
I'm just glad that Larry Fitzgerald is not playing another game against the Eagles because that man diced us up every time he played against the Eagles.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that he's not on the field. I'm also glad DeAndre Hopkins isn't on the field. That's a nice bonus for the Eagles. But, yeah, as long as Larry Fitzgerald doesn't come out of retirement for one game, I think I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Can you let's play a game. How many defensive backs for the Arizona Cardinals can you name?
Like in their history of their team?
No, like on the team right now.
Ooh.
Because before I looked up the depth chart, I could only name one.
Byron Murphy Jr. That's the only one I got.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Hold on.
There you go. That tells
Hold
you
on.
what you need to know about their defense.
That's what I said. You're stealing my stats again, Shane.
That's what you're saying.
Oh,
Buda
no,
Baker
I got
the
one.
one that I
Buda Baker.
could think of. Yeah,
Buda
he's the
Baker,
one that I could
yeah.
think of.
Buda
without
Baker.
looking.
Buda Baker.
Yeah.
And then when I looked it up, I saw Marco Wilson, and I remember watching stuff on Marco Wilson, but I did not.
Does Isaiah Simmons count, or is he listed more of a linebacker?
He's a linebacker.
Yeah, he's listed as a safety, but they really play him as a linebacker.
Yeah.
How
I
is
mean,
he doing? I haven't heard.
Honestly, outside of him, Simmons, J.J. Watt, if he's even healthy at this point, and Buda Baker. Yeah, I got no one on their defense, honestly.
They have a few guys.
Well, they drafted David Collins, right?
Zach Allen's pretty legit. Dennis Gardick is a pretty deep playmaker. They have one more. Marcus Golden, he had 11 sacks last year. So there are guys. There are some guys, just guys that I don't really hear about.
Yeah.
Funny note on the Isaiah Simmons thing on the ESPN depth chart. He is listed as both a linebacker and a safety. He's on there twice.
Yeah, I was half right. I'll take it.
All right, so the Eagles win our Madden simulation here, 21-0. Hopefully indicative. The Madden simulations have the Eagles 3-1, whereas in real life they are 4-1. So I guess now they have them, or we're 4-0. Madden now has them 4-1 because they had them losing the Jaguars game last week.
That's right.
So before we get out of here, let's go score predictions because I know Dibes is going to yell at me if I don't do that. Ryan Finneran, start us off. What's your score prediction for this game?
I'm going to say that the Eagles defense continue to dominate in pressuring the quarterback, getting after Kyler Murray. I think it's going to be a rough day for the Cardinals offense, and I think the Eagles offense is going to continue to roll. I'm going to go 27-13 Birds.
All right, 27-13. Ryan Reese, what do you got?
I'm going to go 34-16.
All right, 34-16. Dives, what about you?
Yeah. This might be my first game where I think they win by 2 scores. Every other game I predict it's either 1 score or less. I think Jalen Hurts is going to put up some huge numbers in this one. A.J. Brown is going to have a huge game in this one. I'm going to go Eagles 37, Cardinals 20 with some garbage points. I think the Eagles in a rout in this one.
All right, and I'm going to continue on that same train of thought, which now makes me nervous. Is this a trap game, guys? I got Eagles 38-10. I think they're going to roll over the Cardinals in this game. So I'm not impressed with the Cardinals at all so far this year, which obviously means that they're going to win. But anyways, we won't go there. All right, so before we get out of here, Quentin says Eagles 31, Cardinals 24. So he's got it a little bit closer than we do. I'm just going to say, I hope we're right. So before we get out of here, let me throw it around the table here. Ryan, we're going to start with you. I put you down here so your face doesn't get covered up again. Ryan, give us your final thoughts. Plug your stuff. Whatever you want to do, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just again, loving this show, this collab with Philly Sports Alliance and the Painted Lines. If you already don't, please make sure you follow us on all social medias. Just search Philly Sports Alliance or use the Twitter handle here for Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube, all that fun stuff. We generally have shows throughout the week. From birds to Phillies to all four sports. So check us out. Obviously, you can always check out all of the TPL shows that are streaming live on our Facebook, which is right now. Put on that automatic notification so that you know every time that we go live, you're either getting a PSA or a TPL show, and you're going to love it. So other than that, I'll be out in Arizona with my boy Finn this way, that way. So we'll be shooting out some content while we're out there. This will be my second straight away game. I love it. So, yeah, that's all I got. And go Birds.
Go Birds. All right, Ryan Finneran, you're up. Plug your stuff. What do you got for us?
Kind of echoing what Reese was saying. Follow Philly Sports Alliance, the Painted Lines. I know Dibes and Shane, you guys put out content all the time on Twitter. And I'm constantly liking and reading and following up on. I mean, you guys actually are giving me a lot of stuff to talk about with my coworkers at work and my friends. It's really good stuff. So follow these guys on Twitter and anywhere else. Watch the Philly broadcast Tuesdays at 7. And yeah, go Birds.
Go Birds. All right, Dibes, you are up. Plug your stuff. What do you got going on?
If you want to see any kind of like highlight reel, individual players, you name it, it's all on the channel. There's pretty much like 10 videos against the Commanders, just sitting there waiting to be watched. Go check that out. No party on Broad this week. Taking a break because the Sixers are back. Holy cow! This offseason went so fast. So we did a post game show last night. It was a great win, and then we'll be doing one tomorrow. So we're back in it. The grind has officially truly started. This is like grind season. So lots and lots of Sixers content as well. For Eagles, we'll be doing a pregame, halftime, and post game show. I'll be doing the halftime and post game this week. So please go check that out. And I just want to say, make sure you go check out Shane's Eagles breakdowns, and go check out Shane's first show on Bleeding Green Nation, hosting or co-hosting the post-game show over there. So proud of you, dude. I'm just so proud.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And like Dibes said, I've got some all 22 stuff coming out. I've got 2 videos up right now, a little bit shorter, but I went through all of the offense today. I've got clips cut up for 2 more videos that I'll get out tomorrow, and then I'll go on to the defense. So if you want to nerd out about the X's and O's, I'll have those going out on YouTube. I also put them out on Twitter because nobody clicks the YouTube links. They just watch the 220 on Twitter. So I'll tweet them out in parts on Twitter as well. I have cracked the code to Twitter. So give me a follow there at @halfandhalf_TPL. Make sure you're following Dibes. He puts out so many of these highlight reels. It's unbelievable. Make sure you're following Philly Sports Alliance too for all of their shows. You can check me out on the Bleeding Green Nation podcast feed. I couldn't announce it last week because it wasn't finalized, but I'll be doing post-game shows there. So I'll still be with the Painted Lines, but just not for post-game shows. But might be on some pre and halftime shows for some of these later games that are coming up here. So looking forward to that. There's also a midweek show in the works right now that is hopefully going to kick off next week on the Bleeding Green Nation feed that I'll be on. So check it out, all the different places. I'll have it all on my Twitter so you can follow along there as well. 4 Victory Tuesdays in a row. Let's make it 5. We have agreed that I'm stuck hosting this show as long as the Eagles keep winning. So as long as the Eagles win, I will be the host, and I'll retake my rightful spot in the top left corner. But as soon as we lose, I'm kicked to the curb, and I've got to be one of the plebs down in the corners while Dibes or somebody else hosts the show. So cheer on the Eagles. Keep me in the captain's chair for as long as possible. 5-0. Let's get it done. Good. Go Birds.
Go Birds.